So I take it that there are truths that are only disclosable through transformation. And to claim to know a truth, these kinds of truths, without having gone through the requisite transformation, is a kind of profound self-deception and hypocrisy. I will often say to people, hubris, yes, the Greek idea. I will often say to people, don't tell me what you believe. Tell me what you practice and how it's transforming you.
Yes, yes, indeed. That's exactly right. I heard him describe this a couple of years ago on Rebel Wisdom, and this really resonated. I'm like, wow, that sounds like Ephesians 4:16. And then it seems like a perfect match. And then I've heard the same, you and him discuss the same thing over and over. Now, the problem is getting people to do this in good faith. Instead of like, I'm not trying to convince you to believe what I believe, and I don't think you're trying to convince me to believe what you believe. I really feel like you're provoking, cultivating insight, and which is great.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a good faith conversation. How can we encourage people to participate in a good faith dialogue where they're not so attached to ideology that they feel like they have to persuade everyone else of their ideology all the time? I don't know how to crack that code.
And you take people through this program, you teach them sort of mindfulness skills, and then meditative skills, contemplative skills, philosophical fellowship skills, and then dialectic. And then when people are at the end of, as they do each exercise, they awaken to these other kinds of knowing, these other ways of connecting with themselves, with each other in the world, a kind of, and I don't mean this in any sexual way, but a kind of intimacy of being with others, right? And with the world, and with reality. And they talk about this, and they talk about, I didn't know this kind of intimacy was possible, this kind of connectedness was possible. And people from all kinds of background, including secular, will start to talk about this experience using religious and spiritual language and metaphor, because they have been carrying around this hunger for the sacred, for that kind of connectedness. And so part of what you have to do is to give people that some way of tasting this beyond. So one thing is, if you can get people to experience the flow state, and then they get a sense of, and see what that connectedness feels like, and see how wonderful that is. Now try to bring that flow state into how you're talking to other people, because like in the end, don't you want to be connected to this person? Because if you're not, in the end, then they are just an object to you. You just want to.
Oh, wow. That's right.
You just want to locate a particular possessive proposition in their head. Right? But if you in the book of James, don't preach the gospel until you give somebody a coat, right? If you aren't willing to see another person and connect to them, then you shouldn't be speaking to them. You shouldn't. You've actually given up the privilege of talking to other people if you think the primary thing that should be done in any speaking is to convert another person to your particular point of view. If what you should say is this, which is, you and I together can get to a place that neither one of you and I can get to on our own. I'm going to be open to that, and I'm going to be open to how that can potentially transform me. All I ask is that you're open to how it can potentially transform you. So I'm not trying to transform you. You're not trying to transform me. We're trying to participate in the logos together. Dialogos. Both be open to how it can transform both of us. That's how I try to answer that.